Hi guys, so yesterday you learned some skills. Completely, you just learned some skills how to make a perfect square trinomial. And today what we are going to do is we are going to use those skills so that we can solve the quadratic equation by completing a square. Alright, so to solve the quadratic equation using completing the square, you must first isolate the x squared and bx term. So what that means is we need to make sure that this is alone. In this particular example, in order for this to be alone, we need to take away 12. Remember, in the equation, whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you need to do to the other side of the equal sign. Let's see what we get. We have x squared minus 6x. Now, I want you to see what I am going to do. I am going to leave myself room. Okay, and I will show you in a second what for. And 19 minus 12 is going to give me 9 minus 12, 7. 1 minus 1, 0. So this is 7. All right, now I need to make this to be a perfect square trinomial. So this is what you learned yesterday. Step number 1. Let's find what the b is. B is negative 6. And what we did with b yesterday is we took half of it. So half of negative 6 is equivalent to negative 3. Step number 2 was to take the negative 3 and square it. So whatever the answer was here, we would take it and square it. Notice how when you have a negative number, make sure you write this in parentheses, and negative 3 times negative 3 is going to give you positive 9. Now, remember yesterday what we did is we added it to whatever we had started with. But now, and this is very important, because this is equation, you need to remember that whatever you do to this side, you have to do to the other side of the equation, okay? So we added the 9 here, but we can't just add a number to an equation. In order for this to be true, we need to do the same thing to both sides. All right, now our step number 3 would tell us to make this to be a perfect square trinomial. So square root of x squared is x, square root of 9 is 3, negative sign, square it. Make sure you can always check. 3 times x is 3x times 2, this was negative 6x, that's right. And this is equivalent to 16. Well, what is the good way of getting rid of the square? To get rid of the square, you can square root both sides. And there's one very important thing. You need to remember that because this is a quadratic, you should get 2 answers. Sometimes they may be repeated. Well, you will see some cases we will not get solution. However, when you take a square root and the variable is on this side, your answer will be either positive or negative. Okay, so now you remember you will always have 2 cases. X minus 3 is equivalent to square root of 16 is 4, and x minus 3, well, again, square root of 16 is 4, but with the negative sign. I saw that yesterday many of you did this completing a square technique, the steps. You figure out the pattern very quickly and you were able to come up with that C number. So just now make sure you add it to both sides. And again, a very important thing, remember about positive, negative. Now you have to solve this equation. I will solve it by adding 3. Again, I want the x by itself. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. So x is equivalent to 7. Add 3. X is equivalent to negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Remember, you can always take those numbers, so one at a time, plug it into the equation, make sure you are right. All right, let's take a look at another example and let's see if what different may happen. So again, we always want to start by isolating the first 2 terms. In order to do it, I need to get rid of that 3. This is positive, so I will do the opposite operation. I will minus 3 from both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. x squared minus 12x. Remember the same thing, I am going to leave myself some room, is equal to 16 minus 3 is 13. But I will also give myself some room because I know I will be adding something here, and whatever I add here, I will have to do this to the other side of the equation as well. All right, let's find that number that we want to add to both sides. Step 1, take half of what b is. In our case, it's negative 12. So half of negative 12 is negative 6. Step 2, we will take the negative 6 and we are going to square it. So I took the result and I am going to square it. So that's 36. And that 36 is what we are going to add to both sides. Why? Because this is creating a perfect square trinomial that we will write next. Square root of x is x, or square root of x squared is x. Square root of 36 is 6. Negative sign because of this negative sign. And we have to square it. Let's double check. 6 times x is 6x times 2 negative is negative 12. So we did not make any mistake. 36 plus 13, 36, 46, 49. That's nice. All right, again, we want to isolate the variable, and in order to do it, we will first get rid of that square by taking a square root of both sides. And again, remember that your answer will be either positive or negative. We cannot forget about that. So now, x minus 6 is equivalent to square root of 49 is 7. The other option is going to be that x minus 6 is equivalent to negative 7. Let's solve each one of those equations. This one, in order for the x to be by itself, we need to take away or add the 6. That is going to give me 13. Add the 6. Be very careful here. Negative 7 plus 6 is going to give me negative 1. Done and done. We got two answers. One is negative 1. The other one is 13. All right, let's see what those examples are going to So let's make sure we read what it says on the top of this page. To solve a quadratic equation in which the leading coefficient is not 1, divide each term by the coefficient and then solve. So notice we are going to add one more step to get rid of the 2. To get rid of the 2, I am going to divide every single thing by 2. Again, I want to get rid of this number. And once you do it, I will have x squared. You need to divide each term. So 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2x. 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. 8 divided by 2 is going to give me 4. And now I am going to follow all the steps I did in the previous example. So first of all, I want to have those two alone, those two terms. And in order to do that, I am going to minus 1. That is going to give me 3. That is going to be my equal sign. I am going to leave some room here. X squared plus 2x. And I will make sure I have some room here. I like to make those lines because then that way I remember that whatever that c is, I remember to add it to one side, and then I remember to add it to the other side as well. So then remember the first thing was to find the half of b. So step 1, half of 2 is equal to 1. Then take 1 and square it. That is my step 2. That is 1. And then take that 1 and add it here, but also add it here too. So let's see, perfect square trinomial, x, positive sign because of the plus right in here, 1. That works really nicely. And now, in order to figure out what the x is, we need to get rid of whatever we can. So I'm going to square root both sides. Remember, positive or negative. So now, two cases. X plus 1 is going to be equal to square root of 4 is 2. X plus 1 is going to be 2 with the negative sign. Minus 1. So notice x is equal to 1. This is like at school where I write on the Elmo and then you can't see anything. Minus 1. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other side. X is equivalent to negative 3. Done and done. All right, and then we have another one. This one looks a little bit more complicated. It looks a little bit different than all the other ones. So we need to clean it up. And the way I'm going to clean this up is, I know that I want the term with x squared and the term with x together. So I'm going to minus the 8x from both sides. 4x squared, make sure you do not combine those two terms. We are just moving the terms from one side to another. So this is good, but what I do not like about this is that 4. Notice this is what we said right at the top of this page before example number 3. If the coefficient that goes with x squared is not 1, we need to make it 1. And in order to do it, I am going to divide every single term by 4. Notice how I wrote this a little bit different this time. That is going to give me x squared minus 2x. I am going to leave some room right in here. 32 divided by 4 is going to give me 8. And I am going to leave some room so I know whatever the number I am going to add to this side of the equation, in order to make this true, I have to add to the other side as well. So let's take a look. Step 1, half of b, negative 1. Step 2, negative 1 squared. And let's see, I am going to add this to both sides of the equation. And now I am going to factor. So take a square root of both sides. Remember about positive, negative. And remember, we'll have two cases. Add 1 to both sides. And again, done. This is a way. This is one of the ways on how to solve the quadratic equations. We've learned different ways. You will see those will become a little bit more interesting when the numbers that we'll be getting are not as pretty as the ones we did get today. So just be aware that, again, this is one of the methods, and you will learn different ones as well. You've already learned some. So it's just to make those quadratic equations more interesting. Have a great day, guys, and make sure you come see me during my office hours if you have any questions.